The village of Elderwood was old. Ancient trees loomed over the houses, their branches twisting like gnarled fingers. At the edge of the village, in a cottage shrouded by ivy, lived Old Man Thorn. He was known throughout Elderwood as a wizard. People came from miles around to seek Old Man Thorn's help. He brewed potions and whispered incantations. But there was fear mixed with the reverence. His eyes, as blue as glacier ice, seemed to see right through people. And they warned their children to stay away. Clara was different. She lived with her parents in a cozy cottage just a stone's throw from Old Man Thorn's. He was her grandfather, a fact that filled her with a strange mix of pride and trepidation. She loved to visit him, to sit at his feet and listen to his stories. He told her tales of magical creatures and faraway lands. He taught her the names of the herbs that grew in the forest and the secrets they held.
Be careful, Clara. Your grandfather, he wasn't always like this.
Her mother would never elaborate. The whispers and warnings only fueled her fascination. Clara knew there was more to her grandfather than met the eye, and she was determined to find out what it was. One night, a fierce storm raged through Elderwood. Thunder shook the little cottage and lightning split the sky. She sat huddled by the fire with her grandfather, the flames casting dancing shadows on the walls.
Grandfather, tell me about your magic.
Old Man Thorn stiffened. He turned to her, his eyes narrowed.
Why do you ask, child?
I just want to understand. I want to know what it's like.
Old Man Thorn sighed, a deep, weary sound that seemed to come from the depths of his soul. He turned back to the fire, his gaze distant and troubled.
Magic is not a game, Clara. It is a force, powerful and dangerous. It demands respect and it exacts a price.
He fell silent, staring into the flames, his face etched with a pain that Clara had never seen before.
There are some things that are best left buried. Some secrets are not meant to be unearthed.
He rose from his chair, his movement slow and stiff.
Go to bed, child. The storm will pass and the morning will bring brighter days.
But Clara knew deep down that the storm was far from over. Her grandfather's words, instead of deterring her, only fueled her curiosity. What was he hiding? What secrets lurked in his past? The storm raged on outside, mirroring the turmoil within her.
That night, I was plagued by strange and unsettling dreams. I dreamt of shadowy figures and whispered incantations. I dreamt of a darkness so profound it threatened to consume me. And in the heart of that darkness, I saw my grandfather, his eyes blazing with an unnatural light.
Clara woke with a gasp, her heart pounding in her chest. The storm had passed, leaving behind a world washed clean and sparkling in the early morning sun.
I knew I couldn't ignore what I had seen, what I had felt. I had to know the truth about my grandfather. I decided to start my search in the attic.
Clara had always been drawn to the attic, its air of mystery beckoning her like a siren song. The attic door creaked ominously as she pushed it open, releasing a musty scent of dust and forgotten memories. The attic was dim and dusty, lit only by a single cobweb-covered window. Boxes and trunks were piled high, their contents a mystery waiting to be uncovered. Clara's eyes darted around the room, taking in the strange and wonderful objects that filled it.
And there, tucked away in a corner, covered in a thick layer of dust, was a wooden chest.
Clara's heart quickened. She knew instinctively that this chest held the key to her grandfather's past. She knelt down and brushed the dust away, revealing intricate carvings of mythical creatures and strange symbols. The chest was heavy, but she managed to lift the lid, her breath catching in her throat as she peered inside. The chest was filled with old books, their leather covers cracked and faded. And nestled among them, she found a leather-bound journal. Clara's fingers trembled as she opened the journal, her heart pounding with a strange mix of fear and excitement.
The journal chronicled my grandfather's journey into the dark arts, his pursuit of power and immortality. It spoke of forbidden rituals and ancient pacts, of sacrifices made and prices paid. I read about creatures of darkness summoned from the abyss, their power both intoxicating and terrifying. I read about spells cast and curses bestowed, their consequences echoing through generations. And I read about the toll that magic had taken on my grandfather, twisting his heart and darkening his soul.
The journal was a testament to the seductive and destructive nature of power, a cautionary tale of the choices we make and the consequences we must bear.
I closed the journal, my mind reeling from what I had learned. The weight of his secrets pressed down on me, threatening to crush me.
Clara went downstairs, the journal clutched tightly in her hand. Her grandfather was sitting by the fire, his eyes closed as if in deep thought.
Grandfather!
Old Man Thorne opened his eyes, his gaze meeting hers.
Yes, Clara?
I found this in the attic.
She held out the journal. Old Man Thorne's eyes widened as he recognized the journal.
Where did you find that?
It doesn't matter. I know everything.
I was afraid you'd find that. I hoped I could keep you from the truth, from the darkness that has haunted me for so long.
He looked away, his gaze distant and troubled, as if the weight of his past was too much to bear. He took a deep breath and began to speak, his voice low and filled with regret, each word heavy with the burden of his memories. He told Clara about his past, about his insatiable thirst for knowledge and power, a thirst that had led him down a dangerous and treacherous path. He spoke of the sacrifices he had made, the toll it had taken on his body and soul, the lines he had crossed, boundaries that should never have been breached, all in the pursuit of something that had ultimately proven to be empty and corrupting, leaving him with nothing but regret. He told her about the guilt and remorse that had haunted him ever since, the nightmares that plagued his sleep, the weight of his actions a constant burden on his soul, a shadow that never left him.
Magic comes at a price, Clara. It is not just a tool, but a force that demands something in return. It is a dangerous and seductive force, and it can easily corrupt even the purest of hearts, turning noble intentions into dark obsessions.
He looked at Clara, his eyes pleading for understanding, hoping she would grasp the gravity of his words.
I never wanted you to follow in my footsteps, Clara. I wanted to shield you from the darkness that consumed me. I wanted to protect you from the darkness, from the mistakes I made, and the endless regret that followed.
Clara listened to her grandfather's confession, her heart heavy with a mixture of sadness and anger. She had never imagined that the man she admired so deeply could have such a dark past. She had always seen him as a hero, a figure of wisdom and power. His stories of bravery and strength had been her bedtime tales. Now she saw him as a flawed and broken man, a victim of his own ambition and the seductive allure of magic. The pedestal she had placed him on was crumbling, but she also saw his regret, his desperate desire to protect her from the darkness that had consumed him. His eyes pleaded for understanding and forgiveness.
I don't understand why. Why did you do it? Why risk everything for power? Was it worth losing everything you loved?
I was young and foolish. I believed that power would bring me happiness, that it would make me immortal. But I was wrong. Power only brought me pain and isolation. It took me away from the people I cared about.
He looked at Clara, his eyes filled with a wisdom born of pain. The years had taught him harsh lessons, and he wanted to spare her from the same fate.
Don't make the same mistakes I did, Clara. Choose love over power, compassion over ambition. Remember, true strength lies in kindness and understanding.
She realized that everyone makes mistakes, some greater than others, and that true courage lies in facing the consequences of those mistakes. It was a moment of profound clarity for her.
For in the end, those are the things that truly matter. The choices we make define us, and the consequences shape our future.
Clara left her grandfather's cottage that day with a heavy heart. The weight of the revelations she had uncovered pressed down on her young shoulders, making each step feel like a journey through time. The world seemed different. The innocence of her childhood forever shattered. The trees, once a source of comfort and adventure, now seemed to whisper secrets and warnings. She had learned a harsh truth about life, about the seductive nature of power and the heavy burden of secrets. The journal she found in the attic had opened her eyes to a past she never knew existed. But she had also learned about forgiveness, about the enduring power of love, and the importance of making amends for past mistakes. The photographs told stories of happier times, of a family bound by love despite the shadows that loomed over them. She knew that her grandfather was not a monster, but a man who had made terrible choices and was now paying the price. His regret was palpable, his sorrow a testament to the weight of his actions. The journal remained with her, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of the world. Its pages were filled with cryptic notes and warnings, a guide to the dangers that lay ahead. But it was also a reminder of her grandfather's love, his desperate desire to protect her from the mistakes he had made. Each entry was a plea for understanding, a hope that she would not repeat his errors. Clara vowed to honor her grandfather's memory by using her knowledge wisely, to fight against the darkness that threatened to consume the world. She knew that her journey would be fraught with challenges, but she was ready to face them head-on. She knew that the battle between good and evil was a never-ending one, but she was determined to stand on the side of light. The lantern she carried was not just a source of light, but a symbol of hope and resilience. And so the legacy of Old Man Thorn, the Wizard of Elderwood, lived on, not in the pursuit of power or immortality, but in the hope that his granddaughter would learn from his mistakes and choose a path of love, compassion, and redemption. Clara's journey was just beginning, but she carried with her the lessons of the past and the promise of a brighter future.